Hello and welcome to Learning Excel 2016. My name is Mike Henry and this is the third video from Chapter 6. In this video we're going to learn how to use formulas over multiple files. So we're going to have multiple Excel files that are going to be using formulas, taking information from each file. So when we look at this sheet, you can see that I finished it out. I fixed the totals over here and put the totals in. But basically now we have a summary of all of the Jackson totals. Now I'm going to just minimize this sheet because I want you to see that it's in a folder called Chapter 6, and in this folder we have other files. Now one of them is called Flint. You'll notice when I open Flint it looks exactly like Jackson. As a matter of fact, the only real difference is you got Flint and the numbers all the way through are different. But everything else looks exactly the same as the Jackson file. And let's just minimize these two down. And you'll notice that we have Podolsky. Podolsky is the exact same way. You can see all of them are exactly the same. And I'll just minimize those and I'm going to open up the totals. Now with the totals, you can see that the totals is showing us the locations need to be entered in, but it's going to be showing for all locations. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to minimize this down because right now we have all of these files here, which is going to feed this fund here. And so what I do is I'm just going to open up, I'm going to put each of these up so they're up and on the screen. Now obviously they're up and on the screen, but unfortunately we cannot see all of them simultaneously. So what we have is the ability to change views. So here I can go to View, and under Arrange All, I could do this as a cascading type thing, where you can see each of the sheets are in a cascade mode. I may choose this one, which is a much better one for what we want to do, which is called Tiled, and I hit OK. Now you can see everything has been tiled for me in 4 windows. A bigger monitor is much better for doing this tiled, but you can see that we can see this. The totals is the active one right now. You can see it's a little bit brighter in the white. These ones are dimmed out. And when I scroll this down, I just want to get to this cell right here, Q1 for childcare. And then over here, I'm going to make Flint the active one by clicking on it. And I'm going to bring it down so we can see the childcare Q1 number. And we'll do the same thing down here for Jackson, and we'll just do a couple for Podolsky too. So now we can see the Q1 numbers for each of the areas, and we know where we want the total. So now we start the formula. Right here, I click on Q1, and I put in here equal. Now I want the Flint one first, so I click on Flint, and then I click a second time. I've made this the active sheet. Now I click it a second time right here. So really what I'm saying is when you look at this formula, the brackets around flint.xlsx says go to the file, and then once you're in the file, go to the tab called Summary. Then the little exclamation point says go to cell B6, and that's where we want to go. I hit the plus button, and now I'm allowed to make Jackson the active sheet. Notice just because Jackson's active, it's not filling in anything. It's not until I click a second time down here on the Q1 childcare that I get Jackson, Summary, and my B6. I hit the plus key, and now I can go right here to Podolsky, and then I click there. You can see Podolsky has now come in, Summary, and then the B6. So when I hit Enter, you can see I get 44,263, and if you get 13 and 16 and a 14, yeah, that looks like it's going to be 44. So you can see our numbers are being pulled from each of these. Now I'm just going to take a second here and make this the active big sheet. So you can see with this number here, if I just grab it and pull this down, I get a problem because I keep getting the same number over and over again. And what we're seeing here is that this number, I'm going back to the original formula, has absolutes in it. Whenever you create a formula that's going to other sheets, absolutes are automatically stuck in there. Now I have the ability to come in here and use my F4 key and remove that absolute, remove that absolute, and remove that absolute there. So without the absolutes in here, I'm able to pull this straight down, and then I can take this right across, and you can see how quickly and efficiently I can get all my totals in here. So relative references do work. It's just a quirk of the system that whenever you go to a different sheet, they put the absolutes in there right away. So you can see our numbers in here, and I could click over here and quickly get my dollar sign, or excuse me, my commas put in there so we can read it a little easier. And I do want to do that because I'm now going to save this. I'm going to save this sheet, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this sheet, and I'm just going to go back to my view, and we're going to arrange that back in. So you can see that right here is my totals, and I've got my 44. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to make a change over here. So right now this is 16. We're going to make a pretty good size change to this. I'm going to double it. I'm going to go to 32,000, and as soon as I hit enter, watch this number over here, you can see that instantaneously that has changed. This formula is a working formula. Now what I am also going to do is I'm going to close the totals. I'm going to save all my changes. I'm also going to close Jackson, and we'll save, and I'm going to close Podolsky, and then over here with Flint, before I make any changes to close Flint, I'm going to make a change, and we're going to take that child care, which is at 13 right now, and we're going to make a pretty significant change to it. There's 100,000, so that's going to be a significant change, and then I'm actually going to save this. Now this file has been saved, and if I go here to the totals, when I open up the totals, what you'll notice right away is, wow, that's 59. There's not 100,000 there, so obviously it has not taken an account for that 100,000. But if you notice, we do have a security matter saying this is wanting to update a link that has been disabled. So when I enable this, watch that number, what it does is that it jumped out there and it says, wow, we just increased by that 100,000. So we do see that you have to make sure that the link is active. Now this is working for us, and I'm going to just hit save, and we're going to close this. This is working for us because these files are in this folder. Our formulas say look for things in this folder and go for that. Now if we were to take one of these out, let's take Flint out of the mix here. Actually, let's go back to Flint, and we'll take that 100,000 and we'll change it to 150,123, 123. So 150 million, that's a huge change, huge change. So I close out here and I do save that change. And now that we're back here, Flint is not part of the mix. It's been taken out of this folder. When I run my totals, it says, wait a minute, let's do this update. So we're going to do the update. We're going to continue. Notice that the 150 million isn't there because it said, hey, there was a change. We no longer can find that. The change has been made. So it's only looking for things inside that particular folder. And that's a very important thing to remember as we go through. You want to drop that back in, and you could have things working for you. In this video, we looked at taking one file and have it using a formula to grab information out of multiple other files. And when it grabbed that information, we did math on that information. We could have just grabbed information and displayed it. In this case, we actually did a little bit of math on it. We saw how if the files are open, the information flows directly back and forth. We also saw that if one was closed and changes had been made to it, we had to do the updates to get there. And most importantly, we saw when we took one of those files out of the folder that it no longer was part of the mix and you had to update. If we had brought that back in, we would have seen that a quick update, and we would have seen that that would have worked too.